So welcome. My name is Jacob Falkenberg. I am Communications and Member Services Director at Venture Portland. Thank you all for being here. We're going to be discussing a topic that has changed greatly over the past several months, membership and membership campaigns and providing membership benefits for businesses in your districts. Membership campaigns are going to look a little different this year, and membership benefits are going to look a little different this year. So we've assembled a great panel of speakers from a couple of districts throughout the city to kind of talk about what they've been trying over these past couple of months to provide benefits and recruit new members and retain the members they have. So I'll introduce those in a second. But I just wanted to take a moment to go through just some ground rules. We are going to have an open discussion. We have a smaller group here, so if you do have a question or something you'd like to add, feel free to type it in the chat, and we will get to it as we will. Also, we want to make sure everybody feels comfortable sharing, so make sure that you give space to others and be respectful of others' time and others' opinions that they're sharing with us today. We're going to go ahead and end promptly at 1 p.m. just to be respectful of everybody's time, but we will be recording. So if you need to leave early, we'll send out a YouTube link along with some other resources after we've concluded probably this afternoon. So keep in mind with that. With me today as well from Venture Portland is Venture Portland's Executive Director, Joy Church. Joy Church, welcome.
Thanks, Jacob. Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is an extremely important topic, isn't it, for all of us? That includes Venture Portland around membership campaigns for what do you do now and what do you do in the future? And that's the same for Venture too. We have been very surprised and fortunate and did a lot of work to maintain the membership that we have. So we only had a very small drop, a 7% drop in membership this year, which was a big surprise. Jacob and I worked on that a lot for several months through June to make that happen. However, even though the numbers are relatively the same in terms of the number of members that we have, the dollars aren't. And I'm sure many of you are experiencing that same kind of thing. So even in our planning for our fiscal year, we expect to see a 70% drop in our next membership campaign. So we've anticipated that in our budget process. And that, of course, then reflects in the kinds of things we're able to do and the number of staff people that we have. And so these are all things that we're truly facing. I wish there were a magic bullet. If any of you have one, please share. But for Venture Portland anyway, our focus is trying to do as many things for now for as many people at very low cost to maintain those relationships. So in a year or two, when fingers crossed, things get back to normal of some sort, people will still see the value of Venture Portland and want to continue engaging with us. And when they have some more funds, they're able to put those towards their membership. But at this point, our prediction for this coming year is, although we anticipate maintaining the number of members that we have, we don't expect that we do a sliding scale, and we don't expect that most of those people are going to pay anything other than the base rate to be members, because we're all suffering. So again, if you've got a magic bullet, please share it. But otherwise, I think we've got some great guests here to talk about the tools and strategies they're using to really showcase the worth of membership in business district associations.
Great, thanks, Joy. And with that, we'll go ahead and introduce our first panelist. She is the staff person from Beaumont Business Association, Kathy Medore. Kathy, welcome.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good here. How are you?
I'm good. I pretty much agree with what Joy said on the membership. I mean, just to talk about that for a minute, I mean, we have the same issue, and I'm sure everyone does, that people either aren't renewing or they're renewing at a much lower level. So definitely there's not as much funding. So we're kind of running on a shoestring with the way things are, but hopefully it will get better and we just kind of stay the course and keep supporting the businesses as best we can, that they will see the value in the association. So what we've done is we a few of the business owners and I sat down at the beginning of the summer to try to figure out how we could get some foot traffic on Fremont, not crowds. We were very conscious about, we don't want crowds, we just want like slow foot traffic. So we came up with this concept called Fresh Air on Fremont, and we've done it every Thursday from the beginning of July, and tomorrow night is the last one. It's 5 to 8 p.m. And we've had, as they've gone on, they're getting more popular, more businesses are getting interested, but we're promoting everything outside. So one of the hair salons, the woman is cutting hair outside. The arrangement is having a sidewalk sale, but they've also had a book signing outside. A lot of the bars are having happy hour outside. Sidewalk sales, I said, let's see what else. And Wild Hearts is having free outdoor massage and acupuncture, which I've tested myself outside. So all that stuff is great, and I think it's, and so what we do is every Thursday, right before about 4 o'clock, I go and pick up some balloons, and I put balloons out in front of all the businesses that are participating. So it looks like something's going on, and we use social media, and oh, if you want to put up my poster, that would be great. Social media, and we have posters up all over Fremont advertising it. And the other thing that's our campaign, the Fresh Air on Fremont. And then if you click on that, there's a link to all the businesses that are doing it. I check with them every week and see what their specials are going to be for the week. And then I update it on our website. So there's the list of what's happening this Thursday. So all this is also blasted on social media and Instagram. We've had a few new businesses come to the neighborhood and have joined. The Business Association, which has been great. We've got about 4 new businesses, and they've all joined, which is super helpful. And they're all taking part on Fresh Air. They all think it's great that we're doing that. So that is. Oh, and the other thing I discovered was guest vendors were very helpful to us. The arrangement said that we could use their parking lot. And we've had guest vendors in there for several of the weeks. We had a Shave Ice truck come, and we've had Department of Work come, she's a cast iron revival person that usually goes to a lot of the Fremont Fest and the street fairs, and she's been slow. So she contacted me, and we've had her come to some of them. So I just think it's great to have more outside vendors just to get some more foot traffic on the street. I know people went and got Shave Ice, and then they went into the arrangement and bought a puzzle. So I know it's definitely helping a little bit, just getting more people on the street and trying to celebrate summer and being outside. So that's kind of the story. Any questions?
So Kathy, you know, in putting this effort forward really ties back into showcasing the worth of being a member of your association, right? So yeah. When you're thinking about your next membership campaign, obviously this is then something you'll showcase as, here's a thing that we did for the businesses on the street, yeah. And you can anticipate this level of work from us in the future. Yeah. Right? So that's how it ties in together to your membership drive next time.
Yes, and also what I've done is it was offered to every business to participate, not just the members of the business association. Every business that I had their email got invited to do it. So even if they weren't members, I still promoted them and advertised for them and got them balloons and got them, you know, set up just to kind of show them this would, you know, if you were a member, you know, you'd be under our umbrella and we would do this for you. So anyway, I was hoping that might help sell people on it also.
Right. So this is kind of a forward-thinking approach to say, hey, anybody can participate, yeah. So that when you go to do the ask down the road,
yes,
they understand the value of the association.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. That's
very
great.
Smart. And just a quick question too, Kathy. Are you shutting down the street at all, or are you operating in the parking zone, or are you just kind of, are businesses that have outdoor spaces already kind of sharing with their neighbors?
Yes. We're not shutting down the street. A few of the businesses have shut down part of the street. So they have outdoor seating, like McPeak has outdoor and Wenderly has outdoor and Amalfi's has a giant tent in their parking lot. So pretty much businesses are just doing it in front of their business. And
Gotcha.
like I said, the arrangement was really nice to donate their parking lot to us so that we could get some guest vendors in there, and they're right on Fremont, so that's super helpful.
And so Kathy, when you're saying like Wonderly as an example, they're doing that every day. It isn't just for the fresh air event.
Correct.
Okay.
They just have outside seating.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's a question from Constance about the social media kind of tactics that you're using to promote it. Any specifics you can share about tagging participating businesses or how often you're posting, hashtags, anything in particular that you're doing?
Sure. I'm not trying to flood it too much, but on Wednesday, like today, I've already posted one that says Fresh Air is tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'll post that Fresh Air is tonight. I tag all the businesses that are participating. Sometimes I do a list of the specials, or I just name all the businesses that are participating in another post. So, and if we're doing guest vendors, I also do special posts for them today or tomorrow or both. And the other thing that I do is I go to the event and I take live pictures and post from the event saying, this is going on. Come here and get your haircut. Come here and get an ice cream. Come here and have happy hour. So a lot of it's Wednesday, Thursday. And then we have signage up. We have posters up. We have some kiosks. So I put up posters at the beginning of the week saying what is happening and who the guest vendors are.
And the follow-up you do on...
I have a hashtag that's hashtag Fresh Air on Fremont. That's my hashtag.
Good. So the businesses can kind of use that when they're sharing their own content.
Yes. And I also do the social media posts, and I send all my posts to the businesses that are participating so they can also post on their social media.
I think it's super important too to do that follow-up on that Friday after the event to kind of show people everything that they missed. That really kind of helps generate that FOMO and get people out the following week. Consistency, I think, is super important there. So that's great. And I'm sure we'll have more questions about Fresh Air on Fremont, but we are going to introduce our next panelist. They are the organizer at St. John's Business District, St. John's Boosters, Calvin Hoff. Calvin, welcome.
Hey, thanks.
Calvin, what's St. John's been up to these past couple of months?
I think we all realize that the benefits you need to be pushing and the programs that you're doing right now need to be on some level cheap and quick. Obviously, associations aren't swimming with money right now, so options in terms of big programs and marketing pushes are limited. One thing we are really grateful for in St. John's is that we got a grant for a district map last year. And as we were coming up to working on it this year, the pandemic hit. And so we figured, okay, let's just repurpose this money and use it for something that's going to immediately help businesses. So instead of creating a map, what we did is we just did a mailer out to the surrounding areas of St. John's, letting them know which businesses were open for curbside pickup, for takeouts, where you could call ahead, where you might be able to do some outdoor shopping, things like that. Not every business has a great online presence. And if they don't, that's a great vacuum that the association can fill. If you have a website, definitely make use of it now, and particularly get in touch with the businesses that don't have websites about how they can make the most of your website. So if you go on to stjohnsboosters.org, there's some info there about, which businesses are open for takeouts, details on new promotions. But in general, we've just been getting more engagement from businesses reaching out to us saying, hey, we just started doing street seating. Can you please add that to our listing on the website, things like that. Another thing that we're doing is we're actually doing a social media promotion called St. John's Bites. Last year, this was a food and drink promotion where people could go around with a passport, get $5 specials from different businesses. We really don't want to pressure food and drink businesses to give away $5 cheap eats right now. We think that's probably shaking them down a little too much. So we figured, okay, let's do it to where we can give benefits to the customers, but then also support the businesses. So essentially, St. John's Bites for this year is you take a photo of your takeouts, of the beer you're having, post it to Instagram, and then hashtag it St. John's Bites. And then each week for the 4-week promotion, we go through, we pick out 3 people who tagged St. John's Bites and give them a $50 gift card to the restaurant in which they actually took the photo at. And so if I'm a coffee shop, say St. John's Coffee Roasters, it's in my best interest to push this association event out to customers, because I know I could be getting a couple bucks if my customers win, but then also I know I'm getting tons of advertising on Instagram in a time when we know that social media rates are going up. People are spending more time on Instagram right now during the pandemic than they ever have before. So if that's where the eyes are, try to format your programming to meet those eyes, especially because you can usually do it in a way that's relatively low cost.
So Calvin, with the mailer that you did you hear much response? How do you think it went?
We did actually. We actually got some businesses that mentioned that people actually walked in with the thing, which is what you want people to do with a map. But if they're doing it with our mailer anyways, then hey, same benefit to the businesses. That's great. And we actually did get some people posting on social media as well saying, oh, this is great. I love that we can shop local. We did it a little earlier in the pandemic, and I think people were really at that time looking for ways to support local. And I think it was important at that moment to divert their attention away from Amazon and away from the 3 clicks they could be getting their 6-pack of beer at, and say, hey, you should go down to the local convenience store and meet Ahmad, and he can sell you the 6-pack of beer if that's what you're looking for.
Right. And so with the mailer, how did you position it to try to keep it fresh? When people were changing their hours and some were trying takeout and then they switched to delivery instead, that sort of thing. So what was your strategy there?
Yeah, so we did, we did some big pushes around that same time. Basically saying, hey guys, we're looking to send a mailer near the end of April. You really need to get us all your info by, April 15th. I forgot the exact date, but we really pushed them to tell them, hey, you need to get us your info by then. However, the mailing itself didn't actually cover the entire grant expense. So we did have some grant funds left over from that same MAP grant. And what we're doing now is we're actually doing a second round of that mailing, hitting some of the addresses we didn't hit on the last time, but then also for the restaurants and the businesses, particularly like the gyms and the health and wellness people who were shut down for so long. This is really their next opportunity to kind of get in, see the benefits, and get their face directly in front of the eyes of local customers.
Right, that's great. That's really good. And can you share with us in terms of the membership strategy? Obviously, this is something that you'll showcase down the road when you do another membership drive. But in terms of your membership right now, how are things looking?
We're all hurting, but frankly, it's better than I thought it was going to be. We braced for some serious impact. And what we're actually seeing is that the businesses that can pay seem to be paying us, which is nice. I think we've seen during COVID that while some businesses have taken a huge downturn, there are some businesses, particularly the ones that either have great local support or the ones that are set up really well for takeout food or takeout items. Those businesses are actually doing pretty okay. Some of them aren't having the greatest years ever, but they're getting by okay. And because they see us posting on social media, because they see us, launching events and doing mailers, they're still seeing the benefit there, and they're still seeing the value that the association is playing, not just in supporting their business, but trying to get customers into the local businesses in general. So it's been really fortunate for me to see that those that can pay will pay. And, for the ones that can't pay, we want their business to survive first and foremost. And so we're still going to talk with them. As Kathy said, we're still going to work with them and boost them through these promotions this year. But that's with the idea that, hey, next year when, hopefully things get a little bit better, you'll remember all that. You'll remember us when things were really stressful and we came in and tried to give you a little bit of a marketing bump. We want to be the business's ally in the district. And if we can use this time to improve that image, then, that behooves the association.
Absolutely. And to not to get into too much detail unless you want to, Calvin, but in terms of membership dollars, so when do you normally do your membership campaign? Is it right at the end of the year, the beginning? And did you decide to stick with your dollars or do a sliding scale, or what did you do?
Yeah, we launched in January, which, as we know, the pandemic hit about March. So we were, well on our way into the campaign when things just ground to a halt. And that's when we really evaluated, how do we want to, ask people for money or ask them to continue to support us. And so really what we said is, if you're joining, at that point it was probably late April, May. But if you're joining in like late April or May, we're going to carry you over through the next year. And on the association side, we're not doing some of our bigger events. We're not, spending loads of money on closing down some streets right now for like our big tree lighting or things like that. So hopefully we can try and cut down on our expenses a little bit and gear towards, lower cost promotions. But we still kept the rate at $100 or $150 because we figured, okay, if you're a business that can pay it, then great. But if you got to wait for a little bit, let's have you wait. What we also did around the same time too, is we reached out to some of the big industrial businesses that we had relationships with. So last year we had started to do some more outreach to manufacturers, more industrial businesses up in Rivergate, which is just northwest of St. John's. And a lot of those were able to stay open through most of COVID. And we actually had the business that actually creates McDonald's French fries reach out to us, in about, mid-May and say, hey, we feel really bad for all the local businesses. We liked coming to a couple of your meetings last year. Here's a couple $1,000 to do some cool stuff for the local businesses, which was great for the association. And then we can turn that around and, give it right back to the businesses. So if you have any businesses, especially big ones that are doing well during this pandemic, whether it be banks, manufacturers, what have you, don't be afraid to ask them for help, because very likely they want to help. They just don't know how or who to talk to. And the worst they can say is no. So, I would say it's definitely worth a shot.
That's great, Calvin. And just a clarifying question. So for those who became members, let's say in May or June, and you're saying that you're going to carry it over for a year, do you mean 12 months or until January?
We're going to carry it through the end of 2021.
Got it.
So, and that's part of the timeline we were trying to think through is, we could theoretically do, something in January of 2021, but we're coming fresh off a pandemic at that point, and a vaccine probably won't be created by that point anyways. So it's still going to feel a little awkward to be, shaking down people for money. So basically we're saying over this, pandemic period of about 18 months, pay us when you can. We'll carry it through the end of the pandemic. And then once this is all done, then we'll get back to, normal rates fundraising.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Calvin. Look forward to talking a little bit more about all the great things St. John's has been doing in just a few. But I want to introduce our third panelist, Jeff Lynott from Foster Area Business Association. Jeff, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Looks like you're enjoying the sunshine.
Oh yeah, gotta.
What's new at Foster? I hear you all have been trying some experimental things over there.
Yeah, for sure. I think just like everybody, we're in this place of, as an association, trying to maintain some form of relevance, so trying to stay active on all fronts. So we're, seen and visible and really trying to demonstrate our value to our member businesses and those that aren't even members. We had the flexibility of completely suspending our membership campaign when the pandemic hit. And because we don't rely solely on membership revenue to function, we actually decided that we were going to sort of subsidize membership. So, we had a number of businesses that joined early in the membership campaign, but then come end of March, April, we were in a place of not feeling right, just like most people here, of asking for those membership dues. So we basically gave membership away for free. And that was in some ways a recruiting pitch. And for those businesses that had already paid, we gave them the option of a refund. But really what we did was push for membership through this year and next year as well. So as a thank you for joining in a tough year and recognizing that a lot of people were going to be getting free membership, we just applied their dues to the following year as well. So we were really able to boost membership numbers. I don't think anybody was really interested in turning that down. And so right away we went to okay, how are we going to make sure that these new members are going to join come January of 2021? How do we make sure that this is a lasting relationship? So we sort of jumped right into our first event, and we took advantage of some grant money, bought some gift certificates from businesses, and used those as prizes in sort of a giveaway event. So basically customers who shopped in the neighborhood, tag us on social media. We gave away prizes for 4 weekends in a row, over $2,000 in gift cards we gave away. So that was our first big push to promote the district, try and generate some revenue for the businesses and really show our members hey, we're doing stuff for you. And since then, we had some leftover gift certificates. So we've done some flash giveaways here and there on social media. And again, really just trying to get people to support businesses, but showing our members hey, we're active. We're trying to get people in your doors or buying stuff online if that's the case as well. Since then, we've had a couple of fundraisers. So we did a virtual bingo, and that was a fundraiser for the Business Association. With the idea is that would go straight back to businesses. We're planning a couple events here coming up. In October, we're toying with the idea of maybe a Fostober Fest, something like that, or pair it with Halloween. But really try and get people out supporting food and drink. And then later in the year, we're going to do an event more tailored towards retail to get people to think about supporting small business during the holiday shopping season. So that way we can sort of support both those large industries in the neighborhood. And again, it's all about showing value, so we're doing more with less and trying to ensure that those people see a value in being part of the association. So come January, again, when we were doing our membership campaign, it's hey, these are all the things we did on your behalf, largely for free. We want to keep this relationship going, when we start the new membership campaign.
And Jeff, did you partner with the neighborhood association in the promotion that you did earlier this year to kind of help meet the funds that you weren't generating through the membership revenue?
Yeah. So I think, one benefit of the Foster area in general is that it tends to be very hyper local. It isn't necessarily a citywide destination at this point. But the people who live nearby are proud to support Foster area businesses, and so the local neighborhood associations are really active on that front too. And they had some money they raised and decided to pour that into the business community. I think they had $2,000 to throw at it as well. And so, they did a raffle. And so it was sort of at the same time that we were doing our thing. And it was really, hey, let's get people out and about. And they sold raffles. I think it was, you could buy a $5 raffle ticket and you could win up to $50 in gift certificates. And they raised a ton of money. And the idea was that the more they raised, the more then they would cycle back into the businesses to keep buying those gift cards and put some money in their pocket. And so we rolled both those out at the same time. And yeah, it was, I would say it was a hit with the locals, and the businesses more than appreciated it. It was, yeah, I think they're very grateful that we both sort of tag teamed on that one.
Well, we like the idea so much that we decided to kind of incorporate that into our grants program. So I just wanted to let everybody know we're currently accepting grant applications through the end of this month, or the end of September, I'm sorry. And one of the things you could apply for is a membership grant to help subsidize the membership dues of your members. So it's a great way to kind of help them with those costs so they can stay engaged during difficult times. You could also apply for a marketing grant to do something similar that Calvin's doing. There's a lot of flexibility there, so I really encourage people to check those out. We'll send a link to the guidelines out after the presentation.
And Jeff, I just wanted to clarify with you here. So are you planning on doing a membership campaign in January 2021, or will you hold until 2022?
Well, all along, the hope is that we would be doing another membership campaign. And with Foster, they typically do it at the end of the year. So it's sort of off and running come the new calendar year. And our goal was to do a membership campaign. I think just like everybody, maybe wishful thinking, but the hope was that things would be a little bit more normal and businesses would be in a bit better place to part with some of their funds. So at this point, we're still planning on doing a membership campaign. Obviously, we'd have to reassess, if things change.
Right. And I think what you're probably doing here is it's obviously very clear that you're just continuing to constantly highlight the worth of your membership.
Yep.
That whenever
absolutely.
you do decide to do whatever type of campaign, you have a lot of things to check off and say, look at these things, they're very, very valuable, right? So it all leads up to that continuing. And I think maybe one thing I'd love for you to share is that the repositioning of the tasting tour as the takeout tour this year. That might be something for other people in other districts to copycat.
Yeah, you want me to speak on that now?
Please.
Yeah, so every year in July, the Foster Area Business Association, one of their big signature events is the Foster Tasting Tour. And it originally started as sort of a food and drink, maybe pub crawl, if you will. And then as it evolved, it grew to incorporate, pretty much all businesses up and down Foster. So come get a taste of what Foster can sort of offer. And it's an event that a lot of businesses sort of come together for. There's a flyer that goes out with sort of a list of participating businesses, and you can win prizes by filling out this sort of passport. And so we knew that wasn't going to be something we could do given the circumstances. One, a lot of businesses at the time were closed, and two, just being sensitive to the fact like, hey, do we really want to get people out en masse? And at the time, numbers were high and growing. And so we sort of fast forwarded the event. So instead of waiting till July, we started planning. We probably started planning in April, May. And I think it officially started June 1st. And instead of the tasting tour, we renamed it the Foster Takeout Tour, with the idea of, hey, there are some businesses that are open, food and drink that are, selling food to go, takeout, delivery. A lot of businesses are selling stuff online. So however you can, whether it's in person, online, delivery, support a Foster business. And if you tag us on social media with the hashtag Foster Takeout Tour, we're going to enter you into this sort of weekly drawing, and that we give out the gift certificate. So, we sort of got to run with our annual event, and it looked a little bit different, and it was at a different time of year. Like I said, we fast forwarded it by a month, but I would say it was a success.
Excellent. And it looks like the Foster Area Business Association President Alan is here. Alan, you wanted to make a comment. Hello. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. Actually, let me just move you all back onto the other monitor so that I'm looking at you. Yeah, within the next meeting or so, we'll probably start talking about membership for next year. I think the membership process is still really important. We need to communicate to our members we've actually had a number of new businesses open in the district, even during the pandemic. So we want to reach out to them or existing businesses that aren't yet members to kind of point out what we're doing. So that formalized, doing the mailings, doing the email, doing that whole thing, I think is still really important. And from a financial standpoint, I'm going to be talking with our bookkeeper, and we'll kind of look at grants that are available. One of the things that I was thinking about is, since we did free membership, and I have to say, we had a number of members who had said not only were they fine, if they had already paid, that we could roll that forward, but a number of them had said, well, no, we're going to pay you next year anyway because we can afford it. So one of the things that I want to bring up to the board is the possibility for next year of maybe something along the lines of a suggested membership. If you're in a position to make the payment, great. And if you're not, we still want to get the people joined so that we have the numbers behind us. Because as Jeff was saying, and we all know, this is an ongoing thing and no one has a hard, fast end date. And we have businesses that are just reopening now that are still dealing with the financial fallout from all of this. So I think encouraging those that are in a position to pay is great. If you're not, we can look at doing the membership grant to help offset some of our expenses. We were very lucky in that my predecessors were very financially conservative. So, by narrowing down our expenses, we were able to survive pretty well on what we had already banked. So now it's just about, figuring out how to move forward. I'm sorry, I see Neil asking about tiered membership. The way we kind of handle our membership, just as an example, and then I'll step off, is there's a basic membership, which is, your actual membership. And then from there, we do tiers of sponsorship for events, which we'll have to talk about because, again, who knows what we're actually doing. And if this is predominantly online events, then you're looking at some advertising and maybe minimal printing costs. But so that's what we're doing.
That's great. Thanks for being with us, Alan. I'm glad to hear things are moving along successfully. Yeah, woo, right?
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
We didn't expect to actually get a really good increase in membership, but.
Right, but take the win, right?
Yeah,
and exactly. I mean, you're doing so many great activities again to keep the business association front of mind, so that over time, right, when you do go back to knock on doors to say, hey, we're asking for money, you're in a great position to say, look at the value of your membership. And something that's unrelated to anything we've talked about yet, but that has come up just a few times is, there have been a few businesses who have wanted to support and have said, I've got an extra $50 and they want to give it to an association. And what we're beginning to encourage those businesses to do is to think of it as a pay it forward. So they could name another business in their district that they know is hurting and kind of sponsor that other business for now. So, if you're lucky enough to have a couple businesses in your district who are doing well, welcome their money and do part of it as a pay it forward for somebody else to kind of, keep that thing moving forward. Anyway, I think you're doing a great job. Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. There, as Calvin said, there's certain businesses that are doing better than others. Cannabis is just selling through the roof right now. And hardware stores, people are at home. So there are certain types of businesses that I think are doing pretty good that might be into being a good neighbor. So that's something that we've never seen before, but we might want to try it out this year. I also want to talk a little bit about just solicitation. So in the past, the most effective thing was walking the street, going into businesses, talking to them face to face, letting them know, here's what the association's all about. We'd love to have you as a member. I'm curious about to hear from the panelists about how you're handling that outreach, both for soliciting new membership or getting businesses engaged in promotions and events.
I can go first. I think it's easy on our end because our ask doesn't really come with a huge commitment. Obviously, there's no financial ask. My message when I'm reaching out to businesses, whether in person, email, phone, is, hey, we want to be bigger and stronger on the other side of this. Let's be part of the team. And let us help promote you. You're going to get a free listing in our business directory. There's no cost to you. You know what I mean? And I think people appreciate it. Whereas, it could come across as insensitive, if we were sort of pounding the pavement looking for cash. You know what I mean? And I'd say the message really is let us help you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we talked a lot about trying to do this year as much as possible, like leave programming open and accessible to people, whether or not they're members, or they're a free member or a paid member. So if you're going under that assumption, I think, you can have some kind of on-ramp of a program for them to participate. Maybe you don't make all of your programming free for everyone this year, but you say, hey, we have the social media post, this marketing campaign we'd love to pull you into. But then you can also just be frank with them about, hey, we are an association that is run by volunteers and does ultimately get, their money from fundraising and membership through businesses like you. Yes, we have enough gas to get through the end of 2020, but, you got to refill the car at some points. So, understanding that when they can pay, like, you would really appreciate it if they did, throw the association a little bit of money to help build a local business community.
That's great. Thanks, Calvin. It looks like there's a question, a kind of a two-part question from Julie. The first part is, any districts currently struggling with the impact of protests? And the second part is, any advice for a district that's more than one street? St. John's, I think, has multiple kind of commercial areas. So I don't know if any of you want to speak to either of those questions.
Yeah, I mean, I would, as much as possible, try to lean on your board members and volunteers. I know board members are, sometimes you got to twist arms to do things, but, I think about St. John's, and there's a lot of businesses in St. John's who I can't get over email. I'll never get a call back. They're just not going to respond to me unless I actually go into the business. And yes, I'm trying to limit, how much I'm going into businesses. But, in St. John's on, Fessenden, which is kind of separate from their main Lombard corridor, I might not have a good in at the coffee shop, but I do know it's right by CrossFit Blue House. And they're not even a super active member. But what I can do is I can call up CrossFit Blue House and say, hey, we're trying to get the word out about this marketing piece and we're trying to put it out next week. Can you just walk over to Daydreamer Coffee and ask them, if they're doing delivery or curbside takeout? And, when you come at it from the level of, we're really just trying to help your neighbors, most businesses, whether or not they're board members or volunteers, are willing to, on their break, maybe walk over there and, just ask the question and send you an email. So definitely trying to think about who are the neighbors who are going to respond to you, and what are some small little asks you can make of them to make your job easier.
just to kind of give you a little bit of where I'm coming from, I've been trying for a month and a half to get a fun kind of passport digital social media marketing program going. The only entry, quote unquote, is that they provide a raffle prize that gets people back in their business again at the end. So that's the only entry to be a part of this, and I was going to do all the work. I've got 7. I had over 200 businesses that were members. We're probably close to 100 now, just based on how many have closed, moved out of the district. You know, it was bad enough with COVID, and then you had the protests. People are not coming to downtown. They're not coming to the Pearl, even though the protests haven't even been in the Pearl. And so my problem is I've been trying to get these programs off the ground, and no one knows. I've had, you know, 5 or 6 more close in the last week. And it's just been this spiral, and board members are doing everything they can, but a lot of them, either they're immune compromised or someone in their family is, so they're not pounding the pavement. I'm not pounding the pavement. They're struggling to try and keep their business afloat so that they can stay in the district, stay on the board. It's been, and then you also had that my president just had a baby, so she's been out this whole time too. And so you have all of this going on. I'm at this point, I just told them I want to get this passport program off the ground. We've been trying for a month. I don't care if there's 7 of you. Let's start it. If other people can join, great. But that's what I'm running into. And both my parents are immune compromised, so I've really been avoiding going in anywhere as much as I possibly can, and end up with this situation. Half of them aren't even open. My contact that I had at the business isn't there anymore if it's more than just an owner. So it's just been this massive spiral in the Pearl that's been really detrimental. We're really hurting, and so I'm really open to ideas right now, because we're not really seeing businesses that are prospering at all right now. The ones that were thinking of moving up to sponsorship are not sure they can continue as members. So to give you an idea of how drastically hit most of our businesses have been.
And I would, if I were to add to that too, I would say that, you know, as much as we can right now, like, not that the raffle item is going to be the thing that breaks the bank for them, but it is the thing that you need to make the event happen. And so at the end of the day, you are waiting on them at this point when they're essentially mentally checking out. And you know, maybe it's worth trying to think about how you can restructure this so that you don't need any of those items up front, and that you can almost make it a blanket district promotion with maybe some extra benefits for members. You know, even in normal times when I'm doing a raffle basket type promotion, some of the part that takes the longest for me is just trying to get the business to give me the dang cup or the mug or the gift card, whatever it is. And that's extra hard right now.
Actually, we're not even making it that they have to give it to me. It's just that we'll put the person in touch and tell them the name of the person, and the person can go right to the business and get it. So I'm not even collecting anything from the businesses. They just have to agree that they're participating. And the barrier has been, I don't know if I'll still be open in a month. I don't know if we were on the watch list for so long of, are we going to go back to baseline? So do I want to start this promotion and commit to it and then have to close back down? And if I close back down, I don't know if I can reopen. That's been the barrier for me. And that's been the barrier with participation in all sorts of things. We're actually redoing our business awards this year and having it be all about what 2020 is. So it's going to be all about social justice and the pandemic, and not about best restaurant, because how do you know what the best restaurant is? You ate there in January, maybe. And maybe the best restaurant is closed now, but we can still honor them if they did some really great stuff during the pandemic. And so we're looking at that. We're completely changing that so that we can still have this drive, still have these things going on. But it's, yeah, we're not having it where they have to get me anything. It's just like, how can I get people in your business, get them posting about you on social media, give them a long enough time period to get into multiple businesses, you know, and we're trying to make it just as easy and as low barrier as possible. And I mean, it's all about, like, their raffle prize can be, they get a free cup of coffee at the end. I mean,
based on what you're telling me, I really like that you're just thinking about launching this with just a couple businesses for phase 1.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if there was a way to restructure this where businesses don't even have to sign up, I would consider that. But if you can just push something out there that has 7 businesses on it, that's something that, you know, 7 more are going to see.
Mhm.
And maybe you don't do the full huge push right now, but you know, think about maybe doing a phase 1, a phase 2, a phase 3, because I mean, people again are just so checked out, and until it's
Yeah.
you know, a full poster right in their face, they're not taking it seriously.
Julie, I actually want to say that we've had a similar situation on Hawthorne. The number of the ability to get to people has been challenging. So we've ended up using social media, Facebook, all of the tools and the website to go to the people. And so instead of having a street fair on August 23rd, we actually opened up a Hawthorne at Home website, which Hawthorne at Home talks about the ability of social interactions, digital interactions to increase promotions, increase membership, and increase involvement. That hit the waves last Sunday, 3 days ago. We started out with 9. We started out with 9 participants. It's growing every day. We're doing this all the way through November 30th. And the it's intentional that we will have a 90-day promotion, because by the time any holiday stuff comes up, we'll be ready with those 9 or 19 or 29 or however many we have to roll into the holiday promotions that we plan.
Great.
So I really encourage you to get up there, do that passport event, even if you only have just a handful of people, and it will be successful. And if anybody on the call wants to see what we've done, you can just go to hawthorneblvd.com, and there's a link right to Hawthorne at Home, and it's alive and well, and it's our entry right now to the post-COVID transition. Nobody knows what it's going to be like a month or 6 months or 18 months from now. But what I am seeing, what I'm personally seeing, is that there's better communication digitally between businesses and their customers, and Hawthorne Boulevard Business Association can facilitate that. And if we look at it 18 months from now and things have gone all digital, we have used Zoom amazingly well. I mean, hardly any of us knew about this 6 months ago, and look how many people are here today. So I'm advocating for better communication. I think that works. It helps us with the end run, which is after what's going on right now. And that's really a serious question. You bring up the most serious question, and that is whether Venture Portland has a position of advocacy in resolving the lack of peace that we're seeing in our city right now. So another one of the pieces that I'll just trumpet real quick and then get off the line is September 21st. Coming up, September 21st is International Day of Peace, and HBBA is moving peace poles onto Hawthorne at 50th. We'll have a dedication of the International Day of Peace on the International Day of Peace. And in the meantime, I hope that we can talk everybody into being at our webinar on September 21st. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Everybody save the date for that. That sounds great. Thank you for the information. So I'm going to do a quick time check here. We've only got a couple minutes left. I wanted to address Constance's question here about a GoFundMe page. Constance, you can certainly set that up in any way you want to. I might recommend that you look at the GoFundMe page that Old Town just created, It's actually called OASIS. It's an acronym for a longer piece. Their big focus is on unsheltered people in their neighborhoods. And that issue has grown much larger due to COVID-19. And so that's a big focus for them. And you know, of course, it ties into their business community too, because businesses are feeling uncertain of whether they should open or not because the unsheltered population issue is so compounded right now. So they're doing a GoFundMe. So that might be a good example. And some of these other questions that have come up around the protests and things, because we're so short on time. But we just recorded a podcast with Old Town this week, and we talk about this a little bit, about the protests and all of the things going on with Old Town. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be released any second now.
Thanks, Joy, and thanks for everybody for sharing. Really appreciate it. We know we're just kind of scratching the surface on this topic, and we're hoping to do some more of these in the near future, just so we can kind of continue to share what's working, what's not working, and help each other kind of weather this unprecedented crisis. So I dropped some links into the chat, but we will also send those out via email, along with some other membership related resources. So keep an eye on your inboxes for that. And I want to do another plug. Our grants are open now. So we'll send a link to that. And if you're interested in applying, feel free to reach out to me. I can kind of discuss what your options are and make sure that you put together a complete and compelling application. So thank you all for being here. We'll keep you posted on our next webinar coming up soon. And have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.